Everybody to the May 24th, 2017 FISP meeting. Everyone's absent is Siobhan Bonson, Pat Crowley, and Kate. I think that's it, right? All right, first thing is the OMP proposal review. So we gotta pick a subcommittee. Look at we have 7 proposals for OPM. We gotta pick a subcommittee so we can review them. And hopefully, we'll meet, and then we'll get an answer to this committee by the June 14th meeting.
Yeah, I'd like to try to aim to have the interviews of our top 2 or 3 candidates on the 14th.
Yeah. So,
Assuming it will pass.
no offense. Don't worry about it. All right, so, we need 4 volunteers.
Put 4 on it?
One.
Phil,
Raj?
Raj, you want one? Phil?
Raj, did you say?
Yes. No. Especially the police.
I'm trying to cut down.
Chris, you and I? Can we do that?
Do you want to put?
No, we couldn't do 2.
Oh, 3.
Do you want to make Lisa, even though she's not a member of F.I.S.P, this is a subgroup, you could pull her into
Okay.
that if you wanted to.
She could be one extra, I would think.
Yeah.
Why don't you do it, John, with Raj?
Okay,
Yes, yes, yes.
so the 3 of us and
Lisa?
Lisa,
Yeah, I think,
because we can't have 3 select.
right, and I think, in regards to Lisa, I think Lisa, I mean, I know she can't be a voting member, but especially in regards to these, she should
Yeah.
come up to the table.
Yeah.
I don't know. I know she doesn't when she comes here, but I think
Right.
we should tell her.
I think it's time to step up her
Right.
involvement.
Right,
No question.
all right, so we'll,
So
Well-
I guess the motion is for John, Raj, and Steve.
How quickly they forget. I'll second.
all right, any
Well-
discussion on that?
At least the list.
All in favor?
Aye. So Lisa would just be asked.
Yep.
She doesn't have, she's not a member, so.
All right, so, we'll meet
You'll have it for tomorrow, you guys will have the,
sometime next week.
June 6th.
no, it's not June 6th.
No, no.
That's,
June 14th, we want to be able to have the 3 finalists. You think 2 or 3 finalists?
At least 2, but 3 would be good.
Okay, 3 would be the most. I won't want any more than 3. So we'll try to get them in for interviews on the 14th. So we'll meet sometime early next week. Is that good for you guys? Right? I know you don't work, so you can do anything.
Tuesday's tough for me because I have choir rehearsal.
Anything, we'll do it maybe Monday or Thursday, Wednesday or something. All right. And then, so the process, and we're gonna make it, so we're gonna get a decision. They're all available, how many copies do we have?
I have 4 hard copies, and they're already posted online to that link I sent around.
So you can look at them either online or look at the hard copies.
Did you say you still have hard copies? Because I'm going cross-eyed.
Yep. I
Reading
have
them.
some hard copies.
All right, so we'll.
online, you don't like reading them online?
I don't either.
Or my iPhone is.
Oh, don't do it on your iPhone, you'll go nuts.
I don't think it works on.
I like it because you can hit the plus to make the text bigger.
So we can, after the meeting, we
Yeah.
can grab some copies.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, so then, and we'll have have an answer by next week, and we'll, so the 14th, we can be able to do some interviews.
So we only asked the groups to give 4 copies?
No, there were 5 copies. So one's the original that I keep intact for the procurement file.
Oh, because usually we get enough copies.
But I asked for the electronic versions. so
Okay.
that they just do
It's just when we have when we finally interview the 3, we're not gonna, who's gonna print those? They're usually probably 100 pages. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
When we come down to 3,
that.
Okay.
About that.
yeah.
All right. Anything else on that subject? All right, the design selection. So Anita did a draft. I don't know if you had a chance to look at that.
There's a few copies. I didn't make enough for everybody, but
Yeah.
there's a few.
Very
And I'll
good.
send
Oh, this
it
is
out
just
electronically.
the same process we've always gone through,
This
right?
is one
This
we,
is the same process as
Did
we
you-
did with the last
So you wanna look at
go-round.
that?
but revised because we're now past the conceptual plan stage, so the two remaining stages are the pre-construction phase and the construction administration phase.
Yeah, one thing I would question on this, if we take, introspection, take a look at what did not work well with the architect we used for the original work, Caitlin. Lack of interaction with all the involved parties. I mean, there's a lot in here about how they would go about doing things, but do we want to have a specific line item here, how they would coordinate between the F.I.S.P and the Council on Aging, and have them detail for us?
That's a great point, because you're absolutely right. The last time, they said they were gonna do a lot more interaction than they did. If they only met with Council on Aging once, I believe, am I right? They're supposed to meet more than that.
Right, so how we asked them last time and they said that they would and they
And
didn't.
they didn't,
So I guess we can ask,
No, let's put
even
that
at,
as part of the proposal.
or even at the interview stage, when they narrow down.
But, I mean,
Let's
I'd
put
like,
it in the project description.
Yeah.
I'd like it in here, and then hopefully that would roll into the actual contract issued. And some minimum standard on how they communicate with Council on Aging.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what form that takes, but clearly it was a failing of
Absolutely.
last time around.
Communicate with the Council on Aging and the F.I.S. committee.
Well, if I think, yeah, I guess it would be
How
through the
they
FIS
would handle
committee.
that interaction.
Right, yeah.
Because we'll be the one directing them,
Right.
but they need to get a lot of input from the COA.
Right.
I can't, it just seems
Why
like,
don't we just have them write up the notes of the meetings and submit them to Anita, and she can distribute them to us?
What do you mean? No,
we want them to meet with you.
we want them to actually sit down and meet with them and say, that wall. looks like it's too
That's
big.
what I mean. They meet with the Council of Aging, right? They write up their notes, like any professional would, about what the meeting was about, and what topics were covered, and what decisions were made, right? And then they send the notes to Anita, and Anita gets the notes out to us.
Phil, my point is, the burden should be on them to define how they're gonna run the program.
Oh,
We can
no
make
doubt.
suggestions.
I totally.
So I'd like to see that integrated so that it's not implied, it's explicit.
Yeah. Is there anything else?
I mean, the rest of this is pretty generic.
Yeah.
It's basically impress us.
Yes.
So in the submission requirements, under C, it's a maximum two-page narrative describing proposed project approach and timeline to be taken by the firm. So in that, in the project description and in the submission requirements, I'm going to state, describe process to, I'll think of the language later, but to gather necessary feedback from COA and this during project development.
Sounds good.
I mean, it seems to me like, how could you go without doing that?
But that's what happened, that's what happened with the other one.
He met once.
We met once,
Yeah.
and they kept saying they agreed to do something, he did something totally opposite what he's.
Yeah, this is the Council on Aging and the, yeah, so, yeah.
If it's in writing, text us.
Yeah, I mean, it might be an unfair comment, but, with the police station, you've got, current technology-oriented people with strong communication skills. And the seniors are not technology-oriented, and I think we really need to acknowledge that as part of this package to make sure that the architect takes the burden of driving some of those communications.
I can tell you, when we did ours, we met with the architect at least 10 times. He came out, he sat with us, whether we were just, programming, changes, he communicated unbelievably with us. He did a great job with it. He interacted very well with us, and then, again, coming to the meetings with our committee, and he showed up here.
But I think that's the point, but I think they can't be able to limit how much they can interact, because you can't say, I'm gonna give you 5 meetings.
Right, because you may need 10.
Yeah, you may need 15, you don't know. Because you guys met a ton of times.
Ton.
And
Some
then-
of it we could do, over phones and emails and things
Yeah.
like that. But when it came down to really final decisions and some solid information, he was there with his engineers.
We don't want someone who's gonna give us a price and just say every time you call us, it's,
Extra money.
Well, this, obviously, we also we're paying this next gentleman a lot more than we paid the last guy, so he's not gonna limit. I mean, the cost of this architectural is gonna be a lot of money, so he's not gonna say, I'm limiting it to so many meetings.
Yeah.
I mean, how can he?
Nevertheless, if we see it's not happening the way we want it to happen, we gotta step in.
That's
and
exactly
tell them, look, you know, it's, change this.
Right, we don't know if the last architect, if we had told him, you're not meeting with these groups and pushed him, he probably would've, well, I don't know, we could have said, okay, we're setting up a meeting for you, you know. So I don't know.
think actually we did.
We did
Yeah,
that.
actually,
he didn't-
I take back, yeah, we did.
Well, I mean, if he didn't show up, then, you know,
No, they
that's,
canceled that.
that's our
Oh,
fault.
they canceled that.
there you go, so,
Supposed
so
to
it's
be-
both sides.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think this next stage, like you just said, these guys are gonna,
The name's going on the game.
I
yeah,
mean,
it's,
We really got it right hurt on this
Yeah.
thing here, because, a lot of us have got our rear end on the line here, and, you know, we've gotta make sure that this comes in under budget, and properly done.
Agreed.
With that, can I ask one other thing? So, if it is a grant writing, can we allocate some money? And is this the general contractor does it, or the architect does?
The grant's got nothing to do with,
No, what I heard is, there are some of the contractors, they know the grants, they can look for a grant and they can write. Is that true?
I've never heard of a contractor working to find grants. I've heard of architectural firms being aware of some funding
Yes.
options.
So will they write a grant or do
No,
they
they won't
locate
write
a
it,
grant?
but they would.
they'll identify the grants.
When it comes to that, we can put it in the condition, right?
Well, but we're saying the contractor, no, this is the
Yeah,
architect,
but you can't
I
put
don't
it-
know, it's a
Architect.
contractor or architect?
architect right
So
now.
there are this, okay.
It could be an interview question.
right.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
It'll tell us how plugged in they are to the state infrastructure.
But I don't think anybody's gonna, architect's gonna write it, I'm gonna get you this grant for so much money, you know what I
No,
mean?
but if you give the money, they can, right?
If you want.
If you allocate some money, like $5,000, to write in a.
I can't imagine these architectural firms have people that write grants. I don't think, it's a specialty thing.
I heard so. That's
Yeah.
why.
And like we've
I
always
think
said-
when we narrow it down, that, you know, when you guys narrow it down to 3, is that what you're gonna bring back to us?
Yeah.
Out of how many, 14?
So,
Oh, 7, what made me think there were more?
I think the bottom line is that we still gotta get the money first, and whatever comes off the top, from grants or whatever comes off the top, we can't count on getting
Oh, no,
grants.
definitely.
But I just, we've made that well aware, and
At least, the architect, if they know it, we don't know. We
Yeah,
don't know how many grants are
Don't
there.
get your hopes up, grant
No.
award rates are like 10%.
Totally agree. Even if it is a $10,000, that's a money.
it's just, yeah.
I'm just,
One thing I did want to ask, I might power skim this, I didn't see any specific mention of square footage or cost or anything. Is that the case? There's nothing in here on size? Square footage I would be okay with, as long as we don't reference
The proposed
cost.
site of the 10,300 gross square foot new senior center is on 13 acre parcel.
The first.
The first sentence.
Yeah, well, I skipped right down.
Like I said, it's still right through it.
It was in super powerful at that point.
On the first page, yeah, he started off real strong.
Yeah, size is great.
Right. Okay. All right, so, is there anything else on that? Then we can get that out? And what's the timeline on that?
I have it, our key proposals are due on the 19th of June. So it says it's a good turnaround.
Has it already been published?
It will
The
go in
announcement?
the central register next week. It's in the central register, so it gives people 3 weeks.
So is there a pre-announcement and then you release the document, or the document is released with the announcement?
Typically, you release it with the announcement, but you could even have it prepared before the official central register and legal ad are done.
And we'll do the same process for the architect as we do everything else, we'll get subcommittee and we'll go. All right, anything else on that? Cardinal Construction,
So the subcommittee is gonna do both of those?
no. Oh, we're gonna do what?
It says
Subcommittee
established
construction.
subcommittee, huh?
just for OPM.
Just go for him for now.
Unless you're all willing to continue it on,
Unless-
since you'll be so good at that point. that-
So establish subcommittee, it says today, we're not doing that today, on the agenda,
I was just being hopeful.
for designer selection, I'm
If
sorry.
you want, I mean,
So the OPMs, we have 7,
There's
Yeah.
7 proposals.
we don't know how many proposals we have for the thing.
architect, oh, that's still open?
Right.
Yeah,
Is it 6, 19?
19, they're due the 19th too.
So I think we should wait on that until we, after the 14th meeting, maybe we can do it on the 14th meeting.
I would volunteer to be on the architect subcommittee.
Yeah, so I'm sure it's gonna be a change, so let's do that, let's wait till the 14th. Does it feel good? All right, Cardinal Construction, just for the invoices?
So I wasn't sure if Tony was gonna have anything for us tonight, he did not, so we can jump to the invoices. So we have 2 invoices from C&B. The first is the $5,400 for that change order 3 work that's been done, the drainage related work.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Just a question. This was brought to us before. This is just for the additional work that they had to do related to the drainage. And Tony signed off that this is a appropriate number.
Yeah, he went through that with us when we did the change order itself. And then the second C&B invoice is for their month of April work, $4,667.
So moved.
Any discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Here he is.
Hi all.
How'd you make out?
Is there a F.I.S.P meeting?
Yes, there is. Do you have anything for us? Good time.
No, not really. Just, the committee was updated on the plan changes from DOT, and they're fine with it. They're not gonna give an amended order. They just want copies of as-bills when we're done.
Excellent.
Okay.
So the only other update is that Mike Coventry asked us in the soil line to put flowable fill underneath the soil, underneath the main, water main. He was afraid it would collapse if it wasn't. So there's gonna be a small change order for 8 yards?
8 yards of floor.
Is that what it is, 8 yards?
That's
Flowable.
expensive, how much is that?
$75 a yard, I believe.
Really?
Yeah, it's not much, $75, $81 a yard. It won't be the 10,000 that we took
Oh, okay,
out.
so it's, okay,
It's just 8 yards, just going underneath the pipe
right.
and over the soil pipe, because he wanted that protected, because that's a main,
It's transit.
So it's-
it's
It's
a,
less than 700.
yeah, it's a water, it's a main feed, and he was afraid that if we didn't do it, it would collapse and we'd have a break down the road.
That's,
So instead of doing the whole trench area.
like he talked at one time, we were talking,
At one time, we wanted to do the whole trench area. yeah.
Well, and they wanted the trench filled to.
how many yards would that have been?
They wanted the trench, which was down 14, 15 feet, filled
Yeah.
to the point of pavement, so.
So that was like,
It was
that
all- a lot of
Three
fill.
branches too, not just the sewer, it was all 3.
was a huge difference.
Yeah.
A huge difference.
Yeah, so
So
is
it's
it
it's
we're
very
glad to
small.
get away with this.
approved Under
We
the,
did it as
Yeah.
a,
okay, so.
We did it Monday.
So,
Yeah.
John and Jay.
So that's, is it all back?
yes. Yep, they got, tomorrow they're out there again, they got another little section to do. But that area is all done. I think tomorrow they're by the road, by the driveway.
So the storage is in the water.
Sewerage is tied in, water is tied in, chlorinated, and drained.
And they just have to do,
looks great.
it's good.
And I think they're talking about paving either Thursday or Friday, to complete.
Yeah. So you just got to do a little bit of work right by the driveway where the manhole is in. Okay.
Did we talk about the signage on the road?
What's
Yeah,
that?
that's the blue light, we talked about that.
You mean the one that says police department?
Yeah.
Yes, we've already approved it.
No, not on not on the building.
No, on the road,
What, that says
please.
Yeah.
police department ahead of something?
West Boylston,
Oh, it's time for the West Boylston Police Department?
yeah, that we've already, that's what the blue lights, we talked
It's already
about.
been designed and approved, it's got lights on it,
Chief wanted blue lights.
blue lights.
Yeah.
Says West Boylston Police.
Oh, that's
That's a good name.
Really
that's
good.
interesting.
It's a tough one. We were gonna change it to
Where'd you
Clinton,
get
but
that?
So, yeah. Anything else in miscellaneous?
Yeah, Council on Aging and representatives to this committee, do we have a formal appointee to replace Bob?
Not yet. We have a person who has applied to be the COA board replacement for Bob, and I'll be meeting with him, if not Friday morning, probably Tuesday or Wednesday morning, and talking with him to find out if he's willing to also be the F.I.S.P liaison, because I appoint both of those positions.
Because nobody else wants to.
There's been no one else on the COA board who stepped forward.
Now, does the COA have, I mean, I'm sure if no one else wants it and this guy does, they're gonna vote, but they have to vote first?
Yeah, it's COA's liaison.
Yeah, so they have to
but
vote.
They've endorsed it's Patrick Novia who's applied.
They've endorsed him before he's been, okay.
So, they knew he was applying, so.
Good.
If he's willing, then I think we're good to go.
Tell him it's part of the job. Don't even give him an option.
So, on the subject of lessons learned, the seniors in general seem to be a bit disengaged from the process last time around. I think there was an expectation that everybody would come to them to ask questions and gather information. I wonder if there's the possibility of having a concept level discussion to set the tone of what the interaction will be. I'm really worried that this is going to end up being a little too hands-off, and then we'll have people complaining that nobody was listening.
You talk about with the Council on Aging?
Yes.
And the seniors themselves, not just the board.
Yeah, I mean, I won't claim to appreciate the specific politics and interactions between the Council on Aging and the Friends, other than to know it's been an issue. And the question is, do we think we have the foresight to find a way to navigate that going forward?
Well, I think, again, another really good architect question, but I would envision that any architect worth their salt is gonna make sure that they have an event at the senior center where seniors get invited and kind of spill out their hopes, their dreams and thoughts, talk about what would work, what they see wouldn't work, and kind of capture all that before there's more programmatic discussion with the subcommittee.
And then they can come to our meeting too. We can invite all three groups and then anybody else one night that we all know where they all stand too, instead of,
Well, I think that.
we have, not that we haven't done that.
Yeah, we always have, and,
Sometimes they
it's
don't.
hard because you send out the invitation, they don't come. I mean, I know it's at night, I know it's 7 o'clock, it's hard, but in the summertime, it should be easier for them, hopefully.
The other thing though is that despite how many meetings the architect has with the subcommittee or COA board or whatever, Lisa and the COA board themselves can also have those kinds of sessions with the seniors to say, look, this is where things stand, what's good, what's bad, what would you like to see us, consider. So I think it's multi-level.
No doubt, but again, I would really like to see some public commitment to level of interaction. Maybe it means we invite Lisa to sit at the table and talk to her about how she will marshal the resources of the seniors.
That's a great idea. So why don't we invite her to the June 14th meeting, and we'll talk about that. That's a great idea. Okay.
Whether it does anything is another question.
I can speak to one specific area, which is an area that is moving fairly nicely, and that is discussions with Nancy Barakin and the Friends regarding a significant fundraising push with mail and other initiatives over the next year to 18 months, depending on what time is appropriate. And those discussions have gone very, very well indeed. And I see no difficulties of relationships that I've encountered between the COA and the Friends, especially working on that specific item.
Yeah, but I think when we do invite them, because we did invite them once and they said, no, we're all set, and they didn't show up that day, and that's where we got in trouble. So I think when we invite these groups, we're gonna have to pick a date that they can really all be here in front of the meeting on TV, we've talked about it, so.
Okay.
And then that list, we compiled the list of, when we did our information,
All the people.
no, the information session for those people, plus the list of things that we wanted to add to it, that people suggested. Can we make sure that list is kept and we use it, you know, like the building inspector, some type of awning, so when people
Oh,
get
yeah.
dropped off,
Yeah.
you know, and then I think Anita had a few other
There
things.
was additional storage, somebody was saying.
Yeah, I think we had 2 or 3 different things. Let's just make sure we don't forget about those, yeah. And then the north-south, there was questions about that, but that's what this architect will do.
Okay. Anything else? All right, so we're gonna meet, Wednesday, June 14th, and, we'll be in touch with Nita before then. We'll set up, try to get the 3 for the appointments. All right? All right.
Motion to adjourn.
And then vote
Second.
June, do you want to tell people the vote is on June 6th?
Oh, I'm sorry. That's it, well,
For the senior center and, yeah.
that might help. June 6th, 12th, 8 o'clock. We have to vote for the senior center on that day. Thank you.
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.